How's it going, everybody? The Lunch Crew, episode 9 with Leighton and Chris. You see, I did it right this time. I did the LC. I did the LC this time.
It's taken 9 episodes, Chris.
9 episodes. All right. It's been a really hectic week for us as a company. We're still working on this website transition, and we're working on other things there on the ground in Milburn. It's been a week, right?
Yeah, it's busy, but grateful to be here. Excited for the holidays that we're both in the middle of,
Hmm.
as well as that are upcoming. And I appreciate everyone tuning in today. With that being said, Chris, let's get down to what has taken the hobby by storm. These Tom Brady parallels, autos, etc. And listen, we want your hot take here on the Lunch Crew. Is this just hot garbage? Or is this, something that should be exciting for collectors, dealers, investors? You think there's some long-term value here? It's just a fad. What's going on here, Chris? Tell us.
Well, I don't see it holding up forever. Like we've got these 2023 Bowman Draft Tom Brady, and we pulled a Aqua Lava for Aqua Lava. It sounds so weird for Charles Perry, and he followed my advice. I said, "Hey, Brady, sell that immediately." He said, "Do I grade it?" No, you sell it immediately. Like they're hot, you know. They may not be when you get it back from grading, and it may grade a 9, and you're back at square one, and you've paid a lot to grade it. But like these inserts, there are two factors here. Number one is normally when Tops Fanatics Tops does an insert series like this, they will print it to the moon. They did not with this, especially the parallels. The parallels, there are only about 700 total parallels of this card. So
Which is
it's
very low considering in the day and age that we're in.
excruciatingly low. Odds in a super jumbo box are like 1 in 11,000.
So let me ask you
Yeah.
a question about the Brady card.
Uh huh.
Because I want to know, and I have a feeling the audience wants to know who's maybe listening to this after. And by the way, Chris, let's remind everyone if they want to find our other 8 shows so far, because you've been enjoying the content, how do they do that?
How do they get into a Brady? Well, they come on to vintagebreaks.com and they
No,
hit
how
a
do they find our
how
content
do
for
they
the lunch crew?
oh, how do they find our content? I'm sorry, I misunderstood your question. I was reading a comment.
No problem.
So they find the Lunch Crew by going to vblunchcrew.com or looking us up on Spotify or iTunes. We're there, Spotify, iTunes, and our own internal platform. We here at Vintage Breaks like to make our own stuff, you know?
Yeah, I like to cook. Joe T, what's going on? Thanks for joining us, Bry. What's up, Joe H? All right, so getting back to the Brady, my question is, and I think others want to know as well, is Top Slash Fanatics saying this is going to be the only Brady baseball card? And the reason why I'm asking, because if that's the case, maybe it is possible the
Mhm.
card doesn't necessarily retain its initial value because it's been crazy to start, but there's certainly more than 700 something Brady collectors that might want to own this unique piece of crossing of Tom Brady and baseball cards. But to me, if they're going to redo this every year as a, if you will, gimmick or limited offering, it certainly dilutes this year. So, Chris, what are your thoughts on that?
So they haven't said anything about future production. They haven't, and there's nothing precluding them from doing it in the future. And that's one reason why I think these are bad long-term holds, but they're great short-term flips. I don't see anything that would stop them given the relationship of Tom Brady and Fanatics. Like these are not licensed to the Players Association. This is a one-off with Tom Brady. And it's a crossover because Tom Brady is not part of the MLB Players Association, but yet they're using an MLB property that is attached to Major League Baseball in the Montreal Expos /
Sure.
Washington Nationals. Um, so it remains to be seen what they're going to do there. I do think the autographs are good to own. I don't think they're good to own at right now pricing. They're a little nuts. There's a bounty out on the number to 12 or the 12 of 50 where he signed if uh if baseball doesn't work out, there's always football. And there's a
Yep.
corresponding Bill Belichick autograph coming out
I
that says,
saw that.
"Yeah,
Tops
Brady
now.
Brady Brady can hit, but can he throw?"
Yep. It's cool.
So like with Belichick getting sacked, that's a little weird, but it's what it is. Everything comes to an end. I think the autographs are great long term. Maybe not at this pricing, but once they come back down to earth, and things like that $500,000 bounty on one or a thing of the past, they're selling for like 17,000 for a base, which is too much.
Wow, that's a lot.
What would you rather have, a Contenders rookie auto or one of these?
I mean, come on, you don't have to ask me.
It's the
You know
Contenders.
the answer. But I do think we talked about this. It makes it a fun additional chase for
Oh yeah,
folks that are breaking with anyone and everyone from Filth Bomb to Vintage Breaks to Grand Slam. Anyone that's offering Bowman Draft, to me, unless it made the price, too costly to get in, I feel like if you're participating in breaks, unless you can't have it, because I know every breaker is different. So, right, if you're participating in a break and someone bought the Expos and you have no chance of the Brady, that stinks.
yeah.
But like, whereas in vintage breaks, we really do it by the pack. So theoretically, anyone could, pull the Brady or Brady
Hmm.
parallel, Brady auto, etc. At any point. I do think that it's a fun way for those that are lucky enough to hit one, and they turn it into cash. It reduces
Yeah.
if you will, and in some cases you'll make some money. Your ability to buy and your cost of Bowman Draft, which I know is a staple product of Tops. But the reason I wanted to bring this up today wasn't because of Brady. It's because really of the inscriptions. And so I want to close with on our first topic today here on the ninth episode of the Lunch Crew is, do you see the manufacturers, so not just Top slash Fanatics, Panini, Upper Deck, even Leaf, Wildcard, etc., I mean, some of the off manufacturers, do we think that we're going to see more of these special inscription cards, really like one-offs, two-offs, and if so, do you think there's going to be a big demand for it on the secondary market?
I mean, I really hope so. I really hope for a Michael Jordan in a Chicago White Sox uniform. Work something out with Upper Deck, or I don't even think there's some murkiness about whether Michael Jordan is still with Upper Deck or not.
I know, but let's save that. I just want to talk about the inscriptions.
The inscriptions? Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I would love to have like a few. Joey Votto is a funny guy. I would love to see inscriptions. Just turn Joey Votto loose with a pin and see what happens. That guy's nuts.
Well, I just think that there's so much demand for an individual
Hmm.
player. And no matter what, Chris, no matter how big or small market the team is, no matter if the player's made 6 All-Star games or if you've only got 6 hits in his lifetime, chances are, even if it's just a family member, someone's going to want to own that one of one unique inscription. And to me, I mean, this is what I would think that manufacturers will do. And if they're not, they're going to get some free advice here. So you'll have a one of one that's separate of this, and then you can
Uh-huh.
have a one of one inscription card.
Yeah.
Uh,
There's an example of this happening in 2021, I believe. Prospects Jordan Lawler and Benny Montgomery. They actually wrote messages to each other on the autographs. And this is in the free pre-Fanatics era. Get this, Layden. Topps told him to cut it out.
that's really funny.
Topps said you can't do that and took him out of the product.
I mean, listen, people didn't used to sign baseball cards, Chris. If it was a
Yeah.
rookie card of someone, it
Mm-hmm.
was considered sacrilegious to get a vintage card signed by Mantle, a rookie card of Nolan Ryan signed by Nolan Ryan. People were like, "Are you all right, man? Do you need to go to the doctor?" So, taste change, trends
Mm-hmm.
change, the world changes. But with that, let's talk about the whole. I don't know. I'm not as in tune with you are with my ear on the ground as far as release dates and all the kind of stuff that's going on there. So, talk to us about that.
Well, release dates are kind of a staple of the industry that kind of hold us as breakers all accountable and on the same page as to when a product actually comes out, because they don't want to create any perceived unfair advantages for anyone. Having everybody on a level playing field is important for the health of the industry. And at times, Tops, now Fanatics, will run certain promotions where they'll do an early release like they did with Filth Bomb in Bowman Draft only on Fanatics Live. Well, certain breakers saw that and said, "Well, the street date means nothing now. I'm releasing mine now too." Because it's
Sounds
out.
sounds a little chaotic.
It is a little chaotic. And like for example, you saw early breaks on Whatnot. You saw early breaks on eBay. You saw people run early. Of course, we do. We never run anything early. I'm breaking at midnight anyway, so it gives us a midnight release on products like that. We hit that Brady in a midnight release, but they're important because it kind of deals with customer confusion about the overall landscape of the product offerings. If dealer A has got them here and dealer B doesn't, it just really creates a lot of consumer confusion and a lot of marketplace confusion when all this stuff pops up early. You start wondering, is this legit? Does this printed out of China? You know.
Listen, I agree with you. Just to close on this, I think it's very simple. For the sake of the hobby, I agree with you, Chris. I know
Mm-hmm.
it's, hey, I'd like to be X breaker on Fanatics Live that has the chance to break it early.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, you work hard, right? You pave your own way. It's possible. That being said, it is certainly okay to wait and respect the space that you operate in. And I would encourage everyone to do that because, as you said, Chris, I hadn't thought about that. Folks who are maybe on the fringe of the hobby, just thinking about dipping their toe into it, so to speak, maybe they see an early release day, and only a few authorized vendors. It's also being authorized in being sold in unauthorized ways in other places. And then all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden, it has people question the viability of that particular product. Is it real? Is it authentic? And just in general, it doesn't reflect well on us being the
Yes.
hobby, whether it be your tops, whether it be your breaker, whether it be your consumer, a dealer. It doesn't really matter. So yeah, I would encourage folks to abide by these rules. I think it's important, but I want to know why, when you're talking about, let's say, abiding by these rules, and I know you're going to say late, it's different. Well, our next topic has to do with why can't we get Panini in particular, like Prism Football, what people are anxiously awaiting for? It just seems like that product, along with many other products, are being delayed. So I'm just curious, is there something going on in the kitchen that we should all know about as consumers, as dealers, as breakers, as to why there's a lot of delays right now in particular products that are coming out from major manufacturers, like, of course, Panini in this case with Prism Football 2023.
Well, if I'm putting my tinfoil hat on, I'm gonna say it's because Fanatics is bought up all the time at Graphic Converting in Allen, Texas, which is the main factory they're using right now, both tops and Panini. So if Fanatics wanted to, they could just buy up all the press time, which might have happened. Like, this is one conspiracy theory that I think holds a lot of weight. And like, we've gotten a glimpse on how Fanatics operates, and it wouldn't be outside the realm of their business strategy to monopolize the printer. Um, other things is other questions are, we know Panini has lost a lot of staff, in particular to Fanatics. There's an open lawsuit you can read on Paul Lesko's Law of the Cards on Twitter. um, they have a gap in project management for these things. These things all have to be managed, from checklists to art to printing. Everything has to be conceptualized and managed out through a team. And Panini is probably shorthanded at the moment. But it feels really, really weird to not have Prism and Optic out over Christmas, and it really affects the retail side more than anything because the hobby side can always wait. The hobby side, they're your more fervent collectors. Whenever it comes out, they're going to buy it. Christmas time with blasters at Target and Walmart is kind of brutal, not having Prism and Optic up.
No, listen, I was going to say if Fanatics and in general, right, and I don't know, this might be a hot take that's worth talking about on a different show, but I believe that Fanatics, if you're saying what you're saying is true, and they're putting a chokehold and it's causing some of these delays, I really think that if Fanatics wants to 10x, and we were just quoting what Michael Rubin has said, the hobby, you'll actually 10x the hobby faster by allowing Panini to do what they need to do.
Mm-hmm.
So that, for example, in a year of football cards, which Prism Football, and I know Topps doesn't own it, and Fanatics doesn't own it, but they have to understand that losing that momentum in those collectors, they may never come back.
Right.
So if you want to 10x, Just like people, for example, like supermarkets, businesses, they have loss leaders. Why do people do that? Number of different reasons. Story for a different day, but I just hope, and I wish, and I pray that Fanatics, and of course I know that Michael seems like a very, very sharp individual, but he's not the only person working there. And I know for me, working at Just Collect and running Vintage Breaks, of course, candidly, a pimple on an elephant's ass compared to how big Fanatics is. But one thing I know, Chris, is you don't shit where you eat. And
Yeah.
I know we don't usually curse on here, but I'm a little concerned that some of the things that I'm hearing and I'm seeing, I want Fanatics to want what's best for the hobby. And I believe they do. And they clearly want to make money. They might even want to go public. And I hope that all those things happen for them. Everyone realizes their hopes and dreams. But I'm a little concerned that they think, for example, buying up the printing time and hurting and delaying the release of some major epic football card releases is good for business. I don't believe so. I don't believe it's good in the short term or the long term, actually.
No. Especially when you've already won the war. Fanatics has already
Yes.
won this war. There's no way. There's no. Panini's on the clock. Let let him go out the right way. Would be my
Listen,
two
I
cents.
just think that
Yeah.
there's, sometimes there's a way to bow out and, you do it in a way that it still might hurt a little bit, but people remember you, they appreciate it. And, let's be candid, as you said, some of these folks are already migrating over to Fanatics. They
Hmm.
might continue to do so. So let's just hope and move on from this subject, but let's hope that it's going to start to not be as bad as far as these delays. But anyway, moving forward, before we get to a couple of the cards we have for sale this week, I want to give a shout out to Mark D. Thanks for hopping in. What's up, Larry? So, Chris, we're going to take the names that are in the live chat. Now, remember, we run our show live, of course, every week. And we also put it on vblunchcrew.com. You can find it on Shopify, Spotify. You know where my head's at, Chris.
Yeah.
Uh, Apple, all those good spots that you enjoy your favorite podcasts. But today, in particular, with the holidays approaching, Chris, we're going to do something fun for our viewers who are live. So, as long as they comment by the end of the show, we're going to put you in a random for a chance to win a free 1933 Gaudi. You can see it's a PSA 2 of
Robert
Robert
Burke.
Burke. It looks a little bit nicer than a PSA 2, but I figured this would make a great card for someone that appreciates baseball history, vintage baseball cards, and of course, if you don't have a Gaudi, this is a great type card for your collection.
Great, great. I got Joe Tafoya, Brian Kusaba, Joe Hoysock, Mark D, and Larry Conger on my list. Great, good deal.
You got it. Well, you can still hop in till the end of the show, Chris, but let's get right into the cards we have for sale today. Thanks to everyone who's tuning in today, who's tuned in and put up with us for the first 8 episodes or so. And if you'd like to hear us discuss anything in particular, of course, you could drop it in the chat, both live and, of course, if you're listening afterwards. We'd like to talk about what you want to hear about in regards to the hobby we know and love.
Great, great. Well, the first card is one of yours. It's the T205 Gold Border Lena Blackburn.
Great. I'm going to keep mine very easy today because, candidly, I was out of time. So I chose 2 tobacco cards, a T205 and an 06. I underpriced them. I put them at $65 each. You can show them both off if you'd like. It's first come, first serve. I don't suspect the last. And that's the story. I appreciate people who are candid with me and transparent. I'm trying to do the same with you. It has been nuts around here, all good stuff. And these are 2 nice cards. One of them is a polar bear back, and the other one is I just enjoy that design of Lena Blackburn on the 05. And either way, if you want to buy one for $65, I feel like if you don't have an 05 or an 06 for your collection, it's a great deal. Do I think you could sell it, maybe make a few dollars on eBay after fees? It's possible. I just wouldn't go through that, that hassle. I would buy it if it's a keeper for you because I think it's a great deal.
Great, great.
Check them out, Chris. So what'd you bring to the table today?
So I brought 2 different cards. I brought let me show the first one off, and keep in mind the mode I'm in right now is load up season. Like baseball cards are super cheap right now. They're all 30% off. So I'm taking advantage of that, getting ready for spring training and the run up to next season. And a guy that
Sure.
I'm getting ready to run on is Julio Rodriguez. Now,
J-Rod.
ideally, what you want is the 2019 Bowman Chrome release of Julio Rodriguez. Those are a little pricey. I would really recommend you buy one over this card, but this card in the PSA 10 at $45 can't be beat. This is one of the Montgomery set releases, so it did not go out in packs. It did not go out to the general public. These are really hard to get in a 10. The price does not reflect that. And the reason they're hard to get in a 10 is because of the colored borders. They're a little easier because they weren't pack inserted, but the colored borders still make it
I
hard.
love this card.
Yeah,
How much is it?
$45. It's a great card.
Do you have an extra one or no?
I don't. I don't. I only got one set and my J Rod 10.
All right. If you don't sell it, I'm a buyer.
Great, great. And the other one
But
is a
it's first come,
guy.
first serve. I'm not trying to buy it over anyone else. I love that card. I like the look of it.
Yeah,
And I also appreciate Topps Montgomery. I dig it.
yeah. You have one at the office somewhere. You have that whole run.
Sure. And if you know where it is, Chris, great. Awesome.
Great. And the other one is a guy that just came out with his hair on fire last year. Kind of faltered a little bit in the late season as he continues to adjust. I personally believe he will. This is Ellie De La Cruz, 2022 Bowman Chrome Prospects. This is his first Bowman. It's a PSA 10 and it's $80 for a guy that is an electric hitter, electric runner, electric fielder, electric everything. There's nothing this guy does that isn't electric. Him and O'Neal Cruz are a new crop of shortstops coming up, and I'm still looking for big things from Ellie. This is a nice Bowman Chrome prospect that I've got several of these in my collection, and I think you should too.
All right. Well, we enjoy this part of the program. We hope you do too. If you'd like to see it run a different way as we're approaching 10 episodes, as I do with everything in my life, both professionally and personally, I always try to improve. So if you'd like to see it done a little bit differently, or you'd like to see more cards, just let us know. I'm curious what your thoughts are on us offering a few cards for sale and during each and every one of our Lunch Crew episodes.
Yeah, Larry said he strikes out too much, and you're right, Larry. He does. He does. That's what he's
He
got to
does.
adjust to.
But he is fun to watch. And listen, I wish he was a Yankee. Believe me, I'd buy a jersey in 2 seconds. The kid's exciting. So I appreciate bringing those modern rookies to the plate today, Chris, and how you're buying baseball in the offseason. I do dig that J-Rod, so just let me know if someone snags it. Because if not, I will grab it.
Great.
All right. So, Chris, I have a couple things to cover for our last topic of the day.
All right.
First thing is, I don't know how we're going to minister this, but I want to trade with someone who is a member of the Lunch Crew and or Vintage Breaks community. And this is how we're going to do it. Choose between $100 and $200, and it could be one card or it could be a couple cards. Doesn't matter to me. But our eBay store, Chris, if you could drop it in the chat, is just_collect on eBay. So I think we have about 600 or 700 graded cards, a few $100,000 worth. And of course, it's not everything that we have, but it is everything that we have currently on eBay at the moment through our friends at Mascot. Give them a look. Tell them I sent you. Ask for Ezra. It's a great platform that helps you list on not only just eBay, but My Slabs and a few other platforms, I believe, as well.
Shopify.
Oh, yeah, Shopify, exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're going to talk about that, Chris, with the new site, meaning for Just Collect, so on and so forth. So anyway, what I'd like to do is something fun for the holidays. Really appreciate everyone who's not, of course, just tuned into Trading Card Therapy, who's tuned into Lunch Crew, Trading Card Therapy, and Leighton's Loft over the last, at this point, couple of years. So, Chris, I'm going to donate, call it between $100 and $200. Like I said, I'm doing that because someone might just like one card or a couple cards. But anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to accept any trade that's reasonable. And I'm going to give the cards to the person who is giving me cards in the trade. And then I'm going to take those cards and I'm simply going to offer them out to someone else for trade. But basically, I don't want anything for these cards. I want people to, listen, you don't have to do an even up. If you want a $100 card and all you can afford to give me is a $50 card, great. We're not going to say no, but I ask you to do it on the honor system. And of course, we're only going to do it with one person to start. So if you have any questions, you can email me direct, leighton@justcollect.com. But this is a way, just to be clear, for someone who's a member of our community at either vintagebreaks.com or the Lunch Crew to turn some unwanted, I prefer graded, it has to be ungraded, so be it, but to turn some of your unwanted cards into a desirable card or a couple cards, Chris, out
Hmm.
of my eBay store, just underscore collect. And then we will then in turn take those cards and hopefully find another home for them free of charge. All they'll have to do is give up a card, a couple cards, doesn't have to be equal, but we'll see how many trades we can do and keep it going in the hobby that we all enjoy. What do you think about that, Chris?
I think it's great. I think it's great. Cycling cards is a big deal, and especially when you can combine like a few cards into a card you maybe like better. That's to me, that's what I love to do. And if there's a dealer that would rather have like three or four cards than the one card because the three or four cards are easier to sell, so be it. I'm all in. Give me that Dale Murphy autograph. You know.
Absolutely. Now, Chris, for my last topic of today, can you turn on my camera so I can show off a couple things?
Sure, let's do that.
But shaking, Ken, thanks for tuning in. All right, so I want to talk about that. I really enjoy vintage photography. I want to show off one or two pieces in particular that I recently acquired out of an REA Robert Edward auction that took place. And I also want to explain to you what I paid for them. And the reason why is because, oftentimes, Chris, in baseball cards, you kind of know, right? If
Hmm.
you want to buy a Honus Wagner card, it's going to cost you no less than X, right? But photography, folks, the beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah.
So if you find something that's cool, you might say, like, wait a minute, I don't understand why it doesn't cost more money. That's the beauty of it. So in particular, this first piece is a 1911 Nebraska Indians real photo team postcard. How cool is this, man?
Oh wow.
I mean, that's a
Yeah.
legit team photo of about 1911. That candidly, if you like baseball and love baseball as much as I do and Chris does, these folks didn't really do anything less than anyone else who was professional to help pave the way for the game that we love today.
Yeah. No reserves either. Look
So
at that. 9 guys and a manager.
look at that. I love how one of them has a top hat in the back.
Yeah.
I love how you're talking about Native American Indians as part of the club. I like how you can see some of the equipment, meaning the bats and the
Yeah.
gloves on some of their hands. I enjoy how one of them is wearing what I would call a sweater. So that's really cool. I love how it's just really against a nondescript building background.
Yeah.
And then how about this? It's legitimately a postcard.
Wow.
So when you cross my love of baseball and cards with photography and just turn of the century stuff. So Chris, are you ready for me to tell you how much I paid for this?
Yeah, sure.
$153.
That's steel, man. That's
Oh
that
yeah, of course it
that's
is.
steel. Is that a show?
No, this is out of their auction.
Wow. Wow. It just
Yeah, it
like
might have been in like the internet only, I don't know, but I just
yeah.
know that I love it.
Couple of things that strike me about that photo. You get the sense at the humble beginnings of the sport that this is literally all this franchise is composed of. You see Shohei Otani's $700 million deal, and you see
Hold on
this,
one
and
second.
you get a picture of
Hello?
where vintage where it's
Hello?
where it started from and
Hello?
where it came to. He's probably got a call
Yeah,
from Crosby's school, so it'll be just a second. But it's a really great contrast
I'll bring
of
you to the door.
where the
I'll come to
sport
the door.
was and where the sport is
Hello?
now.
Who's in the back there, guys? Can you go to the front and just grab my lunch? They're trying to drop it off. Thank you.
Oh,
Sorry about that.
no, no problem. That's a very important. This is the lunch crew, and that was
How
about
awesome is
lunch.
that actually? We got interrupted for my legitimate lunch.
So what I was saying is, you look at things like Shohei Otani's $700 million contracts, and then you see this club who literally has everything the club owns in the picture, the back.
Oh yeah. I'm not so sure they know where their next meal's coming from.
Right, and it's like a good indicator of just how far the sport has come from some guys that did it for love. Maybe these guys worked on farms in the off season, worked in factories.
Listen, on the off season, they were working in the farm earlier that day, man. What are you talking about?
Yeah, right. So it's just a wonderful glimpse into turn of the century baseball.
Yeah, so anyway, let me show you one other item that I bought at the auction. This is This is, I would say, probably like a 7x9. And I don't normally buy photos in general clothing. So, in other words, if you don't know who the guy in the middle is, it is the Honus Wagner.
Oh, he doesn't
And
look like he's
I'm
flying.
not generally buying baseball players in suits, like in street
Yeah,
clothes.
yeah.
However, what do you notice about this photo besides the fact that Honus Wagner is standing in the middle?
I'm digging the fedoras. The Flying Dutchman is not so much flying in that picture. It's an elderly Wagner there, isn't it?
It is, but that is not what I'm referring to. Anyone who's watching live, let me know. I'm going to give you about another 10 seconds or so to guess.
I
If
don't
someone
see it.
guesses correctly, I will give them a $25 break credit to vintagebreaks.com because Chris was not able to. Might actually be auditioning for a new Lunch Crew co-host, Chris.
Right, right, right. They all look like mobsters to me with those fedoras and jackets, but whatever.
Once again, if you're into this kind of thing, absolutely, but I didn't buy it for that.
Yeah. All right. All right. What would you buy for?
Well, I want to see if anyone's going to guess. I'm waiting.
All right.
What's
All
up,
right.
Cuff Daddy?
That's two capos and their accountant.
Not so far off. So if you look a little bit more closely,
White.
Larry
Oh.
nailed it.
Oh.
Chris, are you kidding me?
It
People
blows the
talk about did
lid.
Wagner smoke or not? I'm like, Jesus criminy, the guy's holding an effing cigar in his left hand in a printed photograph.
So it was about the money, not about the tobacco.
Well, I thought about this a lot before our 9th episode of the Lunch Crew today. The reality of it is here, he was an older man versus when we were talking about those cards coming out as when he was playing ball, Chris.
Wow.
But to me, and I'm going to put this on my Instagram account, for those that don't follow me, I think I'm a good follow, especially if you like vintage sports cards like I do, Leighton_Sheldon. I'm going to put something out there with a whole write-up. Chris, as far as I'm concerned, this at least, I don't know, it brings up some interesting discussions about his T206 card.
Yeah, Larry said he had also endorsed tobacco products during his playing days, which is something, I don't think everybody knows.
Once again, Larry's 100% on the money. Larry gets a $25 break credit to our site at vintagebreaks.com. And by the way, this beauty cost me about $300. Not bad.
Not bad at all. Not bad at all. Now that's a traditional photo, not a postcard.
No, that is just a photo. It's a wire photo. It's got the
Okay.
stamping on the back.
Okay. Nice. Nice.
It is from the Brown Brothers archive, which Leland's has famously handled.
Uh-huh.
And the last piece I want to show off photography-wise, I did not buy this out of this past auction, but I collect real photo cards. So this is not only a photo of the 1912 Pittsburgh Pirates featuring a playing day right here next to my thumb, Honus Wagner. Okay.
Yeah.
But check out Wagner's wearing a sweater. So, I mean, just this is an incredible photograph, right? But it's not just a photo. Jesus criminy, it's an unused postcard.
Huh.
I buy these. I do not buy these to sell. Clearly, I'm a card nerd. Yes, I have a problem. That's why I'm saying it like that. I love the movie Revenge of the Nerds. So if you're ever thinking about buying an RPC yourself and you just want to talk turkey, I love to talk about this kind of stuff, gang. Email me. Hit me up, Leighton@justcollect.com. DM me on Instagram, Leighton_Sheldon. And with that, folks, we're going to wrap up on Honus Wagner's RPC 1911 Pirates, our 9th episode of The Lunch Crew.
All right, boys. Thank you very much.